Hey Reddit, I never thought I'd be here, but I need some advice. Let me give you a bit of context before diving into the mess my life has become. My wife, Laura, and I have been married for 10 years. We have 2 kids, Emma 8 and Josh 6. On the surface, everything seemed perfect. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but nothing that felt insurmountable, or so I thought. The first signs of trouble started about 6 months ago. Laura began working late more often and going out with her friends on weekends. I didn't think much of it at first. We all need our space, right? But then she started getting secretive with her phone, which was out of character. She'd laugh at texts and quickly hide her screen when I walked by. I told myself I was being paranoid. After all, trust is the foundation of any marriage. But the nagging feeling wouldn't go away. I couldn't shake the suspicion that something was off. One night she came home particularly late, reeking of alcohol and perfume that wasn't hers. She was unusually cheerful, almost giddy, like a teenager who just got away with something. When I asked about her night, she gave me a rehearsed-sounding story about drinks with coworkers. It didn't sit right with me. Things escalated a week later. I came back early from a work trip, hoping to surprise her. Instead, I found our house empty. No Laura, no kids. I called her, and she picked up, sounding surprised and a bit annoyed. She claimed she was out with the kids at the park. It was strange, though, because she didn't mention any of it before I left. When she returned home, she seemed flustered to see me. The kids ran to me, excited to share their day. But Laura looked like she'd seen a ghost. I knew then that something was seriously wrong. I started paying more attention to the details. There were too many coincidences, too many stories that didn't quite add up. My gut told me to dig deeper, so I did. I went through her phone when she was asleep. I found texts from someone named Mike that made my heart sink. Flirty, intimate messages that left no room for doubt. She was having an affair. The discovery hit me like a freight train. My initial shock quickly turned to rage. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but I knew I needed to gather more evidence. I needed to be sure, and I needed a plan. Around this time, I reconnected with Emily, an old friend from childhood who had recently moved back to town. We ran into each other at a coffee shop, and it felt like no time had passed. I found myself confiding in her about Laura and the suspicions I had. Emily was a great listener and offered the emotional support I desperately needed. Over the next few weeks, Emily and I grew closer. She helped me stay grounded and offered practical advice on how to handle the situation with Laura. I started feeling something more than friendship for her, but I tried to push those feelings aside. My focus was on uncovering the truth and figuring out what to do about my marriage. One night, Laura came home late again, and I decided it was time to put my plan into action. I installed hidden cameras around the house and began recording our conversations. I needed concrete proof of her affair, not just for my peace of mind, but to confront her without any chance for denial. I knew I had to be patient and smart about this. I was gathering evidence, but I was also preparing myself emotionally for the inevitable confrontation. I confided in Emily about my plans, and she supported me every step of the way. Her presence in my life was becoming increasingly important, and I didn't know what I would have done without her. The stage was set, and I was ready for the truth to come out. Little did I know the confrontation would be just the beginning of a long and painful journey. Days turned into weeks, and my suspicions only grew stronger. Laura's behavior became increasingly erratic. She was either overly affectionate or completely distant, with no middle ground. Every time she went out, my mind raced with thoughts of what she might be doing and with whom. Emily continued to be my rock during this turbulent time. She helped me analyze the recordings and the messages, offering insights I might have missed. Our bond deepened, and I found myself looking forward to our conversations. Emily was everything Laura wasn't at that moment, honest, supportive, and present. One Friday evening, Laura told me she was going out with friends again. This time, I decided to follow her. I waited until she left and then trailed her car at a safe distance. My heart pounded in my chest as I navigated through the city streets, trying to remain unseen. Laura's car pulled into the parking lot of a fancy restaurant. I parked a few spots away and watched as she stepped out, dressed to the nines. A few minutes later, a man I recognized from the photos on her phone, Mike, approached her. They embraced, and my stomach churned. This was it, the undeniable proof I needed. I snapped a few photos with my phone, documenting their meeting. Then I drove back home, my mind racing with anger and betrayal. It was one thing to read their messages, but seeing them together in person made it all too real. When Laura came home later that night, I was waiting for her in the living room. She walked in, smiling, but her face fell when she saw me. "What's wrong, Jack?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. She sat down across from me, looking uneasy. "What's this about?" I took a deep breath and pulled out my phone, showing her the photos I had taken. "I followed you tonight, Laura. I saw you with Mike." Her eyes widened and she went pale. "Jack, I can explain." "Don't," I interrupted, my voice rising. "Don't insult my intelligence. I've known for weeks. I have the texts, the recordings, and now these photos. How could you do this to me, to our family?" Laura's expression shifted from shock to anger. "You were spying on me. How dare you invade my privacy like that?" "Privacy?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You've been lying and cheating for months, and you're upset about privacy? What about our marriage? What about our kids?" She stood up, her hands clenched into fists. "Maybe if you had been a better husband, I wouldn't have had to look elsewhere. You were never there for me, Jack. Always working, always too busy." Her words cut deep, but I wasn't about to let her shift the blame onto me. "That's bullshit, Laura. We had problems, sure, but you could have talked to me. Instead, you chose to betray me." We argued for what felt like hours, each accusation more painful than the last. Laura's defensiveness and refusal to take responsibility only fueled my anger. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. "I think we need to separate," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Laura stared at me, her eyes cold. "Fine, maybe that's for the best." She stormed upstairs, leaving me alone with my thoughts. The house felt eerily quiet, and I realized just how much damage had been done. I texted Emily, telling her what had happened. She offered to come over, but I declined. I needed time to process everything. The next few days were a blur. Laura and I avoided each other as much as possible, communicating only when necessary for the kids. I felt a mixture of relief and sorrow, knowing that our marriage was likely over. Emily continued to be my support system, and I found myself relying on her more and more. One evening, after the kids were in bed, I met Emily at a local park. We sat on a bench, the cool evening air providing a small measure of comfort. "I don't know what to do, Em," I admitted, my voice breaking. "I feel like my world is falling apart." Emily took my hand, her touch warm and reassuring. "You're not alone, Jack. I'm here for you no matter what." As we sat there, I realized that Emily had become more than just a friend. She was my anchor, my confidant, and the person who made me feel whole again. I didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. The stage was set for the next chapter of my life, and I knew that whatever happened, I had the strength to face it head-on. After that night in the park, things between Laura and me grew increasingly tense. We tried to keep our interactions civil for the sake of Emma and Josh, but the resentment between us was palpable. It felt like we were living in a war zone, constantly on edge and ready to explode at any moment. One afternoon, Laura dropped a bombshell. She told me she wanted to move out and needed time to think things over. Part of me felt relieved, but another part was filled with anxiety about how this would affect our children. We agreed to a temporary separation, and Laura moved in with a friend. With Laura gone, the atmosphere at home changed dramatically. The tension lifted, and I found myself breathing easier. I focused on being there for Emma and Josh, ensuring they felt loved and supported during this confusing time. Emily was a constant presence in our lives. She helped with the kids, brought over meals, and provided a shoulder to lean on. One evening after putting the kids to bed, I invited her to stay for a while. We sat in the living room talking about everything and nothing. "How are you holding up?" Emily asked, her eyes filled with concern. "I'm managing," I replied, sighing. "It's hard, but I feel like I've made the right decision. Laura and we just can't go on like this." Emily nodded, her hand gently touching mine. "You're doing what's best for you and the kids, Jack. That's all that matters." We sat in comfortable silence for a moment before Emily spoke again. "Jack, there's something I've been wanting to tell you." I looked at her, curious. "What is it?" She took a deep breath, her cheeks flushing slightly. I've been thinking a lot about us, and I think I have feelings for you. More than just friendship. Her words took me by surprise, though I realized I'd been feeling the same way. Emily had been my rock through all of this, and I couldn't deny the growing connection between us. I feel the same way, Emily, I admitted. But I don't know if it's too soon. Everything with Laura is still so raw. Emily nodded, understanding. I get it, Jack. I don't want to rush anything. I just wanted you to know how I feel. We decided to take things slow, not wanting to complicate an already difficult situation. Emily continued to be a supportive friend, and our bond grew stronger every day. Meanwhile, Laura's absence made me reflect on our marriage and the mistakes we'd both made. I realized that while her betrayal had been devastating, there were deeper issues in our relationship that we'd never addressed. I started seeing a therapist to help me process my emotions and understand my role in what had happened. About a month into our separation, Laura asked to meet. We sat down in a quiet caf GC, the tension between us still palpable. "How are the kids?" she asked, her voice softer than I'd heard in weeks. "They're doing okay," I replied. "They miss you, though." Laura nodded, looking down at her coffee. "I miss them, too. And I miss you, Jack." I was taken aback. "What are you saying, Laura?" She sighed, tears welling up in her eyes. "I've had a lot of time to think, and I realize how much I've messed up. I want to try to fix things, to be a better person, for the kids and for us." Her words stirred something in me. Part of me wanted to believe her, to give our marriage another chance. But another part, the part that remembered the betrayal and the lies, was hesitant. "We have a lot to work through, Laura," I said carefully. "Trust doesn't come back overnight." "I know," she said, her voice trembling, "but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Therapy, counseling, whatever you want." I agreed to give it a try, but with conditions. We would go to couples counseling and take things one step at a time. Laura moved back in, and we started the long, difficult journey of trying to rebuild our relationship. Counseling was intense. Our therapist, Dr. Harris, helped us navigate the deep-seated issues that had plagued our marriage. Laura showed genuine remorse and a willingness to change, but the road was far from smooth. Meanwhile, Emily remained a steady presence in my life. She understood my decision to try to salvage my marriage, even though it meant putting our budding relationship on hold. Her patience and understanding only deepened my feelings for her. As the weeks turned into months, Laura and I made progress, but it was slow. Trust was hard to rebuild, and old wounds were slow to heal. There were moments when I doubted whether we could make it work, but for the sake of our children, I kept trying. One evening, after a particularly difficult therapy session, I found myself alone in the living room staring at the family photos on the wall. I felt a deep sense of loss, mourning the relationship we once had and unsure if we could ever get it back. I called Emily, needing to hear her voice. "Hey, Em, can you come over? I could use a friend right now." She arrived within minutes, her presence bringing an immediate sense of calm. We sat on the porch, the cool night air providing a small measure of comfort. "I'm so tired, Emily," I admitted. "I don't know if I can keep doing this." Emily took my hand, her touch warm and reassuring. "Jack, it's okay to feel that way. You've been through so much. Just remember that you don't have to make any decisions tonight. Take it one day at a time." As we sat there, I realized how much I valued Emily's presence in my life. She had been my anchor through the storm, and I couldn't imagine going through this without her. The future was still uncertain, but I knew I had the strength to face whatever came next, thanks to her unwavering support. As the months passed, the counseling sessions with Dr. Harris continued. Laura and I made some progress, but the cracks in our marriage were still evident. Trust was the most significant issue, and despite her efforts, I couldn't shake off the memories of her betrayal. Each day felt like a struggle to mend something that might be irreparably broken. Laura's behavior fluctuated between genuine remorse and bouts of frustration. There were moments when she seemed truly committed to making things work, but other times, her old steely attitude resurfaced, making it difficult to move forward. One night, after a particularly heated argument, she blurted out, "Maybe you're just too weak to forgive me, Jack." Her words cut deep, but I tried to stay calm. "It's not about weakness, Laura. It's about trust. You broke it, and it's going to take time to rebuild." Our fights became more frequent, and it was clear that our attempts to reconcile were taking a toll on both of us. Meanwhile, Emily remained a constant source of support. She never pushed, never judged, and always listened. One evening, after another frustrating therapy session, I found myself at Emily's doorstep. I needed a break from the chaos at home. Emily welcomed me in with a warm smile and a comforting hug. We sat on her couch, talking late into the night. "Why do you keep trying, Jack?" she asked gently. "I can see how much it's hurting you." I sighed, running my fingers through my hair. "For the kids, mostly. I don't want them to grow up in a broken home." Emily nodded, understanding. "But a toxic environment isn't good for them either. They need to see their parents happy, whether together or apart." Her words stuck with me. I knew she was right. Emma and Josh deserved a happy, healthy environment, and I wasn't sure if Laura and I could provide that together anymore. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of emotions. Laura and I had some good days, but the bad days outnumbered them. It became increasingly clear that our efforts might be in vain. During one particularly bad fight, Laura screamed, "Maybe we should just end this, Jack. Maybe it's what we both need." Her words, though spoken in anger, made me stop and think. Maybe she was right. Maybe it was time to face the truth we had both been avoiding. I met with Emily again, this time with a heavier heart. "I think I need to end it, Em. I can't keep living like this." Emily took my hand, her eyes filled with compassion. "I'm here for you, Jack. Whatever you decide, I'll support you." The decision weighed heavily on me, but I knew it was the right one. One evening, after putting the kids to bed, I sat down with Laura in the living room. She seemed to sense what was coming. "We need to talk," I began, my voice steady but filled with sorrow. She nodded, her expression resigned. "I know. I've been thinking the same thing." We talked long into the night, discussing our future and what would be best for Emma and Josh. It was painful, but we both knew it was the right decision. We agreed to separate amicably and focus on co-parenting our children. The next few weeks were a blur of paperwork, meetings with lawyers, and difficult conversations with our kids. Emma and Josh were understandably upset, but we reassured them that we both loved them and that this was the best decision for all of us. Through it all, Emily remained by my side, her support unwavering. She helped me navigate the emotional roller coaster and reminded me that I was making the right choice for my happiness and the well-being of my children. Finally, the day came when Laura moved out. We stood in the driveway, saying our goodbyes. Despite everything, there was a sense of closure and mutual understanding. "I hope you find happiness, Laura," I said sincerely. She nodded, tears in her eyes. "You too, Jack. Take care of the kids." As she drove away, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. This chapter of my life was over, but I knew that it was the beginning of a new one. Emily came over that evening, and we sat on the porch watching the sunset. "How do you feel?" she asked softly. I took a deep breath, feeling a sense of peace for the first time in a long while. I feel free and ready to start anew. Emily smiled, squeezing my hand. "You've come a long way, Jack. I'm proud of you." As the sun dipped below the horizon, I looked at Emily, grateful for her presence in my life. The future was still uncertain, but with her by my side, I felt hopeful and ready to face whatever came next. The weeks following Laura's departure were challenging, but also filled with a sense of renewal. I focused on creating a stable, loving environment for Emma and Josh, and it seemed to be working. The kids adapted to the new routine surprisingly well, and our house, once filled with tension, now felt peaceful. Emily continued to be a pillar of support. She spent a lot of time with us, helping the kids with homework, joining us for dinners, and just being there when I needed someone to talk to. Her presence was comforting, and our bond grew stronger each day. One Saturday morning, Emily and I took the kids to a nearby park. The air was crisp and the sun shone brightly, creating the perfect day for a family outing. We played frisbee, had a picnic, and enjoyed watching Emma and Josh run around, their laughter echoing through the park. As we sat on a blanket, watching the kids play, Emily turned to me. "Jack, I've been thinking about something." "What's that?" I asked, curious. "Well, I've been offered a job in the city," she said, her voice tentative. "It's a great opportunity, but it would mean moving away." My heart sank at the thought of her leaving. "What do you want to do?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Emily looked at me, her eyes searching mine. I love my job here, but I also love being close to you and the kids. This new job is a big step up, but it would mean starting over in a new place. I took her hand, squeezing it gently. I want you to be happy, Emily. If this job is what you want, you should take it. We'll figure out a way to make it work. She smiled, a mixture of relief and gratitude in her eyes. Thank you, Jack. That means a lot to me. A few weeks later, Emily decided to take the job and move to the city. We promised to stay in touch and visit each other as often as possible. It was hard to say goodbye, but I knew it was the right decision for her career. Meanwhile, life continued to move forward. Laura and I managed to maintain a civil co-parenting relationship, focusing on what was best for Emma and Josh. The kids spent weekends with Laura, and despite our differences, we worked together to make sure they felt loved and secure. One evening, after dropping the kids off at Laura's, I received a call from Emily. "Hey, Jack, how are you holding up?" "I'm doing okay," I replied, leaning against my car. "Miss you, though." "I miss you too," she said softly. "I have some news. I've been thinking a lot about us and what I want. I realized that this job, while great, isn't worth losing what we have. So I turned it down. I was stunned. Emily, are you sure? I don't want you to regret this decision." "I'm sure," she said firmly. "I've realized that my happiness isn't tied to a job. It's tied to the people I care about, and that's you and the kids." Tears filled my eyes as I listened to her words. "Emily, I don't know what to say. Thank you." "You don't have to say anything," she replied. "Just promise me we'll keep moving forward together." "I promise," I said, my heart swelling with love and gratitude. Emily moved back to our town and our relationship flourished. We took things slowly, making sure the kids were comfortable with the changes. Emma and Josh adored Emily, and it was clear she loved them too. Over time, Emily and I grew closer, and our love deepened. We faced challenges together, but our bond remained strong. We became a family, not just by blood, but by choice. One evening, while we were all having dinner, Emma looked up and asked, "Daddy, is Emily going to be our new mommy?" I exchanged a glance with Emily, who smiled warmly. "Well, how would you feel about that?" I asked. Emma and Josh both grinned. "We'd love that." I took Emily's hand, feeling a sense of completeness I hadn't felt in years. "Then I think we can make that happen." Life wasn't perfect, but it was filled with love, laughter, and a sense of belonging. Emily had become an integral part of our lives, and I couldn't imagine a future without her. As we sat together that evening, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought us here. Despite the pain and heartache, I had found a new beginning, and I knew that with Emily by my side, the future was bright. Months passed, and the rhythm of our new life settled into place. Emily officially moved in, and our house felt complete for the first time in a long while. We continued to focus on the kids, ensuring they felt secure and loved in this new family dynamic. Emily's presence brought a sense of warmth and stability that had been missing for a long time. She and I shared responsibilities equally, and she bonded deeply with Emma and Josh. Their laughter filled our home, a testament to the healing we had all undergone. Despite the happiness we found together, Laura's interactions with me remained strained. She continued to oscillate between moments of regret and bouts of hostility. Co-parenting was a challenge, but we managed to keep things civil for the kids' sake. One afternoon, as I was picking up Emma and Josh from Laura's place, she pulled me aside. "Jack, we need to talk," she said, her tone serious. I nodded, feeling a familiar knot in my stomach. "Sure. What's on your mind?" "I've been thinking a lot about everything," she began, her eyes downcast. "I know things between us can't be fixed, but I want to try to be better for the kids and for myself." Her words were unexpected, and I could see a glimpse of sincerity in her eyes. "That's all I ever wanted, Laura, for both of us to move on and be better for the kids." She nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "I've started seeing a therapist. It's helping me understand a lot about myself and the mistakes I've made." "I'm glad to hear that," I said genuinely. "It's a step in the right direction." As Laura and I worked on improving our co-parenting relationship, Emily continued to be my rock. She was patient and understanding, never pressuring me, but always offering support. One evening, after the kids were in bed, Emily and I sat on the porch enjoying the quiet. "You seem happier, Jack," she said, resting her head on my shoulder. "I am," I replied, squeezing her hand. "A lot of that is because of you." She smiled, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the porch light. "I'm glad I could be here for you. For all of you." Life felt more balanced, and for the first time in years, I felt a sense of peace. Emily's love and support had transformed my life, and I was grateful every day for her presence. One weekend, Emily suggested we take a trip to the beach. It was a much-needed getaway for all of us. The kids were ecstatic, and I was looking forward to some quality time together. The beach trip was perfect. We built sandcastles, swam in the ocean, and had picnics on the sand. Emma and Josh were thrilled, their laughter contagious. One evening, as we watched the sunset, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the life we had built together. Back at home, the daily routine resumed, but the memories of our beach trip lingered, providing a source of joy and strength. I continued to navigate co-parenting with Laura, who seemed to be making genuine efforts to improve herself. One night, after a particularly smooth handoff of the kids, Laura approached me. "Jack, I just wanted to say thank you for being patient and understanding. I know I haven't made things easy." "I appreciate that, Laura," I replied. "We're both trying to do what's best for the kids, and that's what matters." As time went on, the hostility between Laura and me faded, replaced by a mutual respect. We were far from friends, but we had found a way to coexist peacefully for the sake of our children. Emily and I continued to grow closer, and our bond deepened. We started talking about the future, about what we wanted for ourselves and the kids. One evening, while we were sitting in the backyard watching the kids play, Emily turned to me. "Jack, I've been thinking about something," she said, her eyes thoughtful. "What is it?" I asked, curious. "I love our life together, and I love you and the kids more than anything. I want to make it official," she said, her voice steady. "I want to marry you." Her words took my breath away. I had thought about this moment, but hearing her say it made my heart swell with happiness. "Emily, I can't imagine my life without you. Yes, I want to marry you too." We embraced, our hearts full of joy and love. The kids cheered when we told them the news, their excitement infectious. We started planning a small, intimate wedding, surrounded by close family and friends. The day of our wedding was beautiful. Emily looked stunning, and the love in her eyes took my breath away. As we exchanged vows, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought us here. Life had taken many unexpected turns, but standing there with Emily, surrounded by our loved ones, I knew we were exactly where we were meant to be. The future was bright, and with Emily by my side, I was ready to face whatever came next. As we danced the night away, I looked around at the faces of our family and friends, feeling a deep sense of contentment. We had weathered the storm and come out stronger, ready to embrace the new chapter of our lives together. With Emily's hand in mine, I felt unstoppable. Our love had triumphed over adversity, and I knew that together we could overcome anything. The journey ahead was filled with endless possibilities, and I was excited to face it with the woman I loved by my side. The days following our wedding felt like a dream. Emily and I were finally a family, officially and completely. Emma and Josh were thrilled, and our home was filled with laughter and love. We settled into our new life together, focusing on making each day better than the last. Our honeymoon was a short but beautiful trip to the mountains. We spent a week hiking, exploring, and just enjoying each other's company. It was a perfect start to our new life together, and I felt more connected to Emily than ever before. When we returned home, we were greeted by Emma and Josh's excited faces. They had stayed with Laura while we were away, and I could see the happiness in their eyes when they saw us. Life had taken a turn for the better, and I was grateful for every moment. However, Laura's behavior remained unpredictable. While she had made efforts to improve herself, there were still moments of tension and hostility. One afternoon, during a routine handoff of the kids, Laura brought up something that caught me off guard. "Jack, I need to talk to you about something important," she said, her tone serious. I nodded, signaling for Emily to take the kids inside. "What's on your mind?" "I've been offered a job in another state," she began, avoiding my gaze. "It's a great opportunity for me, but it means I would have to move. I want to take the kids with me." The words hit me like a ton of bricks. Laura, you can't just uproot their lives like that. Their school, friends, and everything they know are here. I know, but this is a chance for a fresh start for all of us, she insisted. I need you to consider it. I shook my head, my frustration mounting. Laura, this isn't just about you. The kids' well-being comes first, and I don't think moving them away from their home is in their best interest. The argument escalated, with both of us standing our ground. Eventually, we agreed to involve a mediator to help us find a solution. It was a tense and difficult time, but Emily's unwavering support helped me stay strong. During the mediation process, it became clear that Laura's desire to move was driven by her need for a fresh start. While I understood her perspective, I couldn't agree to a decision that would disrupt the kids' lives so drastically. The mediator suggested a compromise. Laura could take the job, but the kids would stay with me during the school year and visit her during the holidays and summer breaks. It was a challenging arrangement, but it was the best solution for everyone involved. Laura reluctantly agreed, and the transition began. It was tough on the kids, but with time and reassurance, they adapted to the new routine. Emily and I worked hard to provide a stable, loving environment for them, ensuring they felt secure and supported. As the months passed, we settled into our new normal. Laura moved to her new job, and our co-parenting arrangement, while challenging, worked out better than expected. Emma and Josh thrived, their resilience shining through despite the changes. One evening, as Emily and I sat on the porch watching the sunset, I reflected on everything we had been through. "It's been a long journey, hasn't it?" I said, squeezing her hand. "It has," she agreed, smiling softly. "But look how far we've come. We're stronger because of it." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Thank you for being my rock, Emily. I couldn't have done this without you." She leaned in, kissing me gently. "We'll always have each other, Jack, no matter what." Life continued to move forward, filled with love, laughter, and the occasional challenge. Emily and I built a life together that was full of joy and stability. The kids flourished, and our home was a haven of happiness. One day, as we were all gathered in the living room, Emma looked up at me with a serious expression. "Daddy, do you think Mommy will ever be happy?" The question took me by surprise. "I hope so, sweetheart. Everyone deserves to be happy." Emma nodded thoughtfully. "I'm glad we have Emily. She makes us all happy." I smiled, feeling a surge of love for my family. "She does, doesn't she? We're very lucky." As the years went by, our family continued to grow and thrive. Emily and I faced challenges together, always supporting each other and finding strength in our love. Laura remained a part of the kids' lives, and while our relationship was far from perfect, we made it work for their sake. Looking back on everything we had been through, I realized that life had a way of working out, even when it seemed impossible. Our journey had been filled with heartache, but it had also led us to a place of profound love and happiness. With Emily by my side, I knew we could face anything the future held. Our love had triumphed over adversity, and together we had built a life that was beautiful and full of hope. As I held her hand watching the sunset, I felt a deep sense of peace and contentment, knowing that our journey was just beginning. Time moved on, and our family continued to flourish. Emily and I were inseparable, our bond growing stronger each day. We faced life's ups and downs together, always finding solace in each other's presence. One day, Emma and Josh brought home exciting news from school. They had been selected to perform in a talent show, and their enthusiasm was infectious. Emily and I helped them prepare, spending evenings rehearsing and encouraging them. The house was filled with music and laughter, a stark contrast to the turmoil of the past. The night of the talent show arrived, and Emily and I sat in the front row, eagerly waiting for the kids' performance. Emma sang beautifully, and Josh played the piano with a confidence that made us proud. As they took their bows, the audience erupted in applause, and I couldn't help but feel a swell of pride and happiness. After the show, we celebrated with ice cream, enjoying the simple pleasure of being together as a family. It was moments like these that reminded me of how far we had come and how much we had to be grateful for. However, life wasn't without its challenges. Laura's visits during the holidays and summer breaks sometimes stirred old tensions. While we managed to keep things civil for the kids' sake, there were moments when her presence brought back painful memories. One summer, during one of Laura's visits, she expressed a desire to spend more time with the kids. I miss them so much, Jack. Can we work out a way for me to see them more often? I understood her feelings, but I also knew how important stability was for Emma and Josh. We'll do what's best for the kids, Laura. Maybe we can adjust the schedule a bit, but they need consistency. Laura nodded, albeit reluctantly. I get it. I just want to be a bigger part of their lives. We managed to find a balance, allowing Laura to have more time with the kids without disrupting their routine too much. It wasn't easy, but we made it work. As the years passed, Emily and I continued to nurture our relationship. We took weekend trips together, enjoyed quiet evenings at home, and supported each other through thick and thin. Our love deepened, and I couldn't imagine my life without her. One evening, while we were sitting on the porch, Emily brought up something that had been on her mind. Jack, have you ever thought about having more children? Her question caught me off guard. I hadn't really considered it, I admitted. Why do you ask? She smiled, a hint of excitement in her eyes. I love Emma and Josh as if they were my own, but I've been thinking about us having a child together. What do you think? I took a moment to let her words sink in. The idea of expanding our family was both exciting and daunting. I'd love that, Emily. I think it would be wonderful. We decided to explore the possibility and soon found out that Emily was pregnant. The news brought a wave of joy and anticipation. Emma and Josh were thrilled at the prospect of having a baby sibling, and our home was filled with excitement. Emily's pregnancy went smoothly, and we prepared eagerly for the new addition to our family. The kids helped set up the nursery, and we spent hours discussing names and dreaming about the future. The day finally arrived, and Emily gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. We named her Lily, and she brought an abundance of joy into our lives. Watching Emma and Josh interact with their new sister was heartwarming, and I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the family we had built. As the years went by, our family continued to grow and thrive. We faced challenges, but we did so together, always supporting each other and finding strength in our love. Emily and I grew closer with each passing day, our bond unbreakable. Looking back on everything we had been through, I realized that life had a way of surprising us. Despite the heartache and trials, we had built a beautiful life together, filled with love, laughter, and hope. With Emily by my side, I knew we could face anything the future held. Our journey had been filled with adversity, but it had also led us to a place of profound love and happiness. As I held her hand, watching our children play in the yard, I felt a deep sense of peace and contentment, knowing that our journey was just beginning and that the best was yet to come. As our family continued to grow and thrive, I couldn't help but reflect on the incredible journey we had been on. Life had thrown its fair share of challenges our way, but we had faced them head-on, emerging stronger and more united than ever. Lily brought a new dynamic to our family. Emma and Josh were natural older siblings, always eager to help and play with her. Emily and I marveled at how our children bonded and loved each other, their laughter filling our home with warmth and joy. Despite our happiness, the challenges with Laura persisted. Her move to another state and her new job had created a physical distance, but there were still moments of tension and unresolved issues. During one of her visits, she sat me down for a serious conversation. Jack, I've been thinking a lot about the kids and how we can make this work better, Laura said, her tone more conciliatory than before. I want to be more present in their lives, but I know I haven't made things easy. I appreciated her honesty. It's not easy for any of us, Laura. But I want what's best for Emma and Josh. How do you see us improving things? She took a deep breath. I was thinking we could set up a more structured visitation schedule, something that gives them consistency but also allows me to be more involved. I nodded, considering her proposal. That makes sense. Let's work on a schedule that works for everyone. It's important that the kids feel secure and know what to expect. Over the next few weeks, we worked with a mediator to establish a more consistent visitation schedule. Laura's willingness to cooperate and compromise was a positive step, and it made co-parenting less contentious. Emily continued to be an incredible partner through all of this. Her support and understanding made it possible for me to navigate the complexities of our blended family. One evening, after a particularly productive meeting with Laura, I sat down with Emily to discuss the changes. Emily, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. I said, taking her hand. Your support has made all the difference. She smiled warmly. Jack, we're a team. We'll get through this together. The kids are what's most important, and we'll make sure they feel loved and supported. Our life together continued to be filled with love and laughter. We made it a point to spend quality time as a family, creating new memories and traditions. One of our favorite activities was our monthly family game night, where we played board games and shared stories. It was a simple yet meaningful way to bond and strengthen our family ties. As Lily grew, so did her curiosity and energy. She was a delightful addition to our family, and her presence brought even more joy into our lives. Watching her interact with Emma and Josh was heartwarming, and I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the family we had built. One sunny Saturday, we decided to take a family trip to the zoo. The kids were excited, and Emily and I looked forward to a day of fun and exploration. As we walked through the zoo, marveling at the animals and enjoying the beautiful weather, I couldn't help but feel a profound sense of contentment. At one point, we stopped for lunch at a picnic area. Emma and Josh were busy entertaining Lily, who giggled and clapped her hands in delight. Emily and I sat back, watching our children with pride and happiness. This is perfect, Emily said, leaning her head on my shoulder. I wouldn't trade this for anything. Me neither, I agreed, wrapping my arm around her. We've come a long way, and it's moments like these that make it all worthwhile. As the day came to a close, we headed home with tired but happy children. That night, after tucking them into bed, Emily and I sat on the porch, enjoying the quiet evening. Jack, I've been thinking about something, Emily said, her voice thoughtful. What is it? I asked, curious. I want to renew our vows, she said, her eyes shining with emotion. Not because our love has changed, but because it's grown. I want to celebrate everything we've been through and the beautiful life we've built together. Her words touched my heart. I love that idea, Emily. Let's do it. We began planning a small vow renewal ceremony, inviting only our closest family and friends. It was a chance to reaffirm our commitment to each other and to celebrate the strength of our love. The day of the ceremony was beautiful. We stood together, surrounded by our loved ones, and exchanged vows that spoke of resilience, growth, and unwavering love. Emily looked radiant, and I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought us here. As we celebrated with our family and friends, I looked around at the faces of the people who had supported us through thick and thin. Our children, beaming with happiness, were a testament to the love and dedication that had guided us. Emily and I danced under the stars, holding each other close. Thank you for being my rock, my partner, and my best friend, I whispered. And thank you for being my everything, she replied, her eyes filled with love. Our journey had been filled with challenges, but it had also been blessed with incredible moments of joy and love. Together, we had built a life that was rich with meaning and happiness. As I held Emily in my arms, I knew that whatever the future held, we would face it together. Our love had triumphed over adversity, and our family was a testament to the strength and resilience that had carried us through. The best was yet to come, and I was ready to embrace it with Emily by my side. The vow renewal ceremony marked a significant milestone in our journey, solidifying the love and commitment that Emily and I had for each other and our family. Life continued to move forward, filled with new experiences, challenges, and moments of joy. Laura's involvement in Emma and Josh's lives became more structured and stable. The new visitation schedule worked well, providing consistency for the kids while allowing Laura to be more present. Our co-parenting relationship improved, and while we were far from close friends, we had developed a mutual respect and understanding. One evening, Emily and I were sitting on the porch, enjoying a rare moment of quiet after the kids had gone to bed. The stars twinkled above us, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. Emily rested her head on my shoulder, and I wrapped my arm around her, savoring the peace. Jack, I've been thinking, Emily began softly, breaking the silence. We've built something really special here. Our family, our home, it's everything I've ever wanted. I smiled, kissing the top of her head. I feel the same way. I can't imagine my life without you and the kids. She lifted her head to look at me, her eyes filled with love. I've also been thinking about the future. I want to keep growing, keep building on what we have, maybe even start a new project together. I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What kind of project? Emily's face lit up with excitement. I've always wanted to open a little calf GC, a cozy place where people can gather, enjoy good food and coffee, and feel at home. What do you think? The idea resonated with me immediately. I love it, Emily. Let's do it. We began planning the calf GC, pouring our hearts and souls into every detail. The kids were excited, offering their ideas and helping out whenever they could. It became a family project, bringing us even closer together. Months of hard work and preparation paid off, and we finally opened the doors to our calf GC. It was everything we had envisioned and more. The community embraced us warmly, and our calf GC quickly became a beloved local spot. Emma and Josh loved spending time at the calf GC, helping with small tasks and making friends with the regular customers. Lily, now a toddler, charmed everyone with her bright smile and boundless energy. The calf GC wasn't just a business, it was an extension of our home, a place where we could share our love and joy with others. One afternoon, while I was working behind the counter, Laura walked in. It was a rare visit, and I could see a mix of emotions on her face. She approached me, a hesitant smile on her lips. "Hi, Jack," she said softly. "I heard about the calf GC and wanted to see it for myself." "Hi, Laura," I replied, trying to read her expression. "I'm glad you came. Let me show you around." As I gave her a tour, she seemed genuinely impressed. "This place is wonderful. I can see how much love and effort you've put into it." "Thank you," I said, feeling a sense of pride. "It's been a labor of love for all of us." We sat down at a table and Laura looked around, taking in the cozy atmosphere. "I'm really happy for you, Jack. You found something special here." "Thanks, Laura. I am happy too," I said sincerely. "How are things with you?" She sighed, a mix of regret and acceptance in her eyes. "I've been doing a lot of soul-searching, trying to figure out who I am and what I want. It's not easy, but I'm getting there." "I wish you all the best, Laura," I said, meaning every word. "For you and for the kids." She nodded, a hint of a smile on her lips. "Thank you, Jack. That means a lot." As Laura left the calf GC, I felt a sense of closure. We had both moved on and found our own paths. It was a bittersweet moment, but it reinforced the idea that life had a way of working out, even in the face of adversity. The calf GCE continued to thrive, becoming a central part of our lives and the community. Emily and I poured our hearts into every aspect of it, and our love and dedication shone through. Our children grew up surrounded by love, support, and a sense of belonging. Years passed, and our family continued to grow and evolve. Emma and Josh blossomed into incredible young adults, their futures bright and full of promise. Lily, with her infectious energy and boundless curiosity, brought endless joy to our lives. Looking back on our journey, I realized how far we had come. From the depths of betrayal and heartbreak, we had risen to create a life filled with love, laughter, and purpose. Emily had been my guiding light, and together we had built something truly special. One evening, as the sun set on another beautiful day, I sat on the porch with Emily, watching our children play in the yard. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink, a breathtaking reminder of the beauty in the world. "Jack," Emily said, breaking the comfortable silence. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" "Every day," I replied, squeezing her hand. "We've been through so much, and yet here we are, stronger and happier than ever." She smiled, her eyes filled with love. "I wouldn't trade this journey for anything. You, the kids, our life together, it's everything I've ever dreamed of." "Me too," I said, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Here's to many more years of happiness and adventure." As we sat there, surrounded by the love and joy of our family, I knew that our journey was far from over. Life would continue to bring its challenges, but with Emily by my side, I was ready to face anything. Together, we had created a life that was rich with meaning and filled with love. Our story was one of resilience, hope, and the unwavering power of love. And as the stars began to twinkle above us, I knew that the best was yet to come.